Hello everybody. Today's video is actually a video response to some, my dog's here with me, is a video response to some questions I've had from some of my subscribers regarding reloading. Oh, I'm going to have to put you away. The first question I had was, I think the question was, this person was looking at getting into reloading and wanted me to talk about the different types of reloading presses and what exactly you need to start reloading. So I'll go in and talk about some different presses, the things you need for reloading, and the second question that was brought up was, how do I care for my equipment when I'm not using it? So I'll cover those. And hopefully my dog won't be in the way too bad. He really wants to play, don't you? Yes, you want to play. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's an RCBS, kind of like a ruck chucker type, and it's really solid. What I use that one for is for trimming. I have an electric case length trimmer, and it's just dedicated for that. And you can decap and prime on that press. Really good press. Okay, here is another style of press. Now this one is kind of a in between a single stage and a progressive. And it's what they call a turret press. Now it's just got the ram. But what I like about this press is it's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 stations. So let's say I'm setting up for pistol. I could have my decapping die set up, move over to an expanding die if I want, bullet seating die, and you can even put your powder keg measure on here. I've seen people do that, but I don't do that. On this press, you can also decap and prime. That's what this arm's for. We'll get into that later. There you go. That's the Lyman T-Mag press. Really great press. Now let's go on to the next style of press. Okay, here's the third style of press. It's what they call a progressive press, meaning you could do almost all your steps on one. And I'll demonstrate that. It's similar to the turret press. With the turret press, the dies all rotate, but with the progressive, let's show you. I got some brass here set up for the 223. And we'll start off by capping. You put it in station 1. And just push the handle forward to prime it. And then you can keep feeding. I'm just going to do the one piece of brass. And then you can also powder charge with that. You move it around, seat the bullet. I just ran out of primers. Take that out. Move it around. I'm going to seat the bullet, or crimp the bullet rather. Move it around and it falls into a tray. So that's what a progressive, it basically finishes everything for you. So the 3 styles. Now let's talk about what we need to reload. Okay, now let's talk about some of the things that are needed to reload. Now, some of the things I'm going to show you, they will come in what I call a starter kit. You could buy just the presses all by themselves, you know, and people are going to say, oh yeah, that press is, let's say, $30 and it's cheap. But you got to realize some of the things that are needed to reload might cost $300, $400, $500 if you buy them all by themselves. And if you buy what they call a startup kit, you can absorb a lot of that cost, or it's cheaper rather, to buy a kit because it comes with a lot of the startup things versus buying them individually. And I'll talk about things that come in a kit or things that you will need that you'll have to buy extra. Now the first thing before you get into reloading, I would recommend a book. It doesn't have to be Lyman, but this is what I use. It's the Lyman 49th edition reloads. So this does come in a kit. It came with my kit that I bought with my Lyman T-Mag press, but a really necessity to have. Second thing that you will need obviously is a press, but we've already talked about the presses. These are just random things, no particular order. Let's just pick them up. You will need a powder funnel or a powder drop. This one, the actual powder drop itself, it's a Lyman. It came in my kit. This dog is not going to let me do a video today, I'm telling you. Aren't you? Well, anyway, I like this one. You can vary the powder charge with these little knobs here. But like I said, they do come in a kit. Another thing you're going to need, this dog, you are such a dork, is you're going to need some way of lubing your cases. Now, Lyman, I'm not, that's just what I bought was the Lyman, so I'm not endorsing Lyman. I'm not saying the Lyman's the best, but that's just what I bought. But it came with this ink pad style lube. It's not for you to eat. What I use now is the Dillon case lube. Basically just lanolin. No, it's not for you to eat. But the ink pad style works really good. I like it. Sorry, I'm giving the dog a massage to see if it'll calm him down. Aren't I? Yeah. Another thing you're going to need is a scale. This did come in my kit. A little digital scale. See if I can turn on. And it also came with like a standard, and it came with a AC adapter. Now some kits also come with what they call the analog scales. It's, I don't know if I have one out, but it's like the balancing type scale. Those are good too. Okay, another thing you guys are going to need is a deburr tool. This one does come in a kit. It came with my kit from Lyman. Now what it's for is, here's the brass to deburr the inside, the outside, and the primer pocket. Now since we're on the topic of primer pockets, you will need some sort of a brush to clean out that primer pocket. Some people, you could do it with a screwdriver, but this came in my kit from Lyman. It came with a brush to do the large and the small primer pockets. You just put this in there and turn it. What I actually do is I take this part off and I put it in my drill motor and I clean the pockets with it. Works good. Some brushes to clean the cases. That came in my kit from Lyman. I got a lot of stuff from Lyman. Another thing you'll need is a funnel for your, when you drop your powder charge. This came from Lyman. It came with my T-Mag. Let's see what else here. Let me turn my scale off. Okay, another thing you're going to need is a way to trim your brass. What I got here, it's a Lyman Universal. You know, you just put your brass in. This isn't the right setup for that, but you trim your brass. It's kind of like a lathe. Now, if you don't like that style, I have that electric one that I showed you earlier on that other press. That works really well too. But that Lyman trimmer, it came in my starter kit that I bought with my T-Mag. Another thing you're going to need is a way to set your primers in the primer pockets. So I would recommend a primer tray. And what that is, you're going to pour your primers in here, and then depending on if you have a large or a small primer, you'll have a large or a small primer pickup tube. And I'm just getting that out here. And then you'll go through, pick them up. And then you have to have, like I said earlier, on my press back here, I just put this in my press with all my primers, and I could prime on the press. I don't know if you can see that back there. Okay. So, that also came in my kit from Lyman. So, you know, it seems like I paid $420 for that kit, and it came with a great press, came with all these accessories. I'm just looking around. What else do I have here? Oh, it came with this little powder scoop dipper thing. I don't use it because I drop the powder in each case. I think you guys have seen that on my videos I've had earlier, but it comes with that. A set of calipers. Now this is one of the few things that did not come in my kit. These are actually Michitoyo brand. I have been in the machining field for 27 years now, and I've just over the years collected them. This is a pair that no longer meet my calibration specs at work, so I just brought them home. They're well within what I need here at the house. So you can get these anywhere from $19 all the way up to a couple $100, depending on what you want. These are dial. You can get digital, you can get analog. You know, you just have to line up the verniers. But usually most major manufacturers that make the reloading presses, you can buy a pair of calipers from them. But highly, highly recommended. You need a pair of calipers. Another thing you're going to need for each caliber of bullet that you're going to make, you're going to need a set of dies. Now, to go along with the set of dies, you're going to need what they call a shell holder, and that's what goes inside the press back here like that, and that's what holds your shell in. So, what else do you guys need? I would recommend, if you guys are going to do a lot of pistol or a lot of precision type loads, this is what they call a powder trickler. And you put your powder in there, and let's say you drop your main charge into your bullet or your case, and you need to creep up on it, and you just put your powder in here, dispense it in, and you can hold it real accurately. Of course, you guys are going to need your powder for each load that you do. You can probably get, I've got 10 different powders acquired for different loads that I do. And you're going to need your bullets. I go through midwayusa.com or just locally, you know, Sportsman's Warehouse, Cabela's. Get that stuff. What else? This is what they call like a case length or headspace gauge. What it is after you get done making your bullets. This is what for? This is for a 45 ACP. So after you get your bullet done, you're going to put it down in there and check for headspace to see if it will fit in your gun or not. Highly recommend getting one of these. And these range anywhere from, oh, I'm looking up here to see if I got one with a receipt on it, and I don't. But you can get these anywhere from $15 to $20 a piece. But I do have something I want to show you. Just one sec. Lyman makes a case length gauge that has 6 calibers in it. Now, the downside is this is made out of aluminum, so you can't drop it. It will dent. But for what you pay for one case length gauge, you know, the hardened steel, you can get this, and it has 6. But you got to be careful with it and not drop it, because like I said, it's aluminum. We'll see how it holds up. So far, it's held up really well. Another thing that it's not mandatory, but I would recommend a bullet puller, because when you first start off, and even now, you're going to have mistakes. You're going to have to pull a bullet, reclaim the powder, reclaim the tip, throw away the brass if you have to, but highly recommend a bullet puller. Now, we're going to get into tumblers. I can't lift too much. I had a back accident, and I don't know if many of you knew that, but I've been in the hospital, or in and out of the hospital with back problems. That's why I've got this coat that lights up. It's got actually heating elements in it, and it's massaging my back with heat. So but anyway, that's another story. Now, I'm going to maneuver the camera over. I'm going to show you 2 different kinds of tumblers. Okay, here's 2 different kinds of tumblers. Now, the first type, this one right here, it's what they call a vibratory tumble. And it holds, I don't have any right now, but it holds like a corncob media. And these are a must. If you guys are going to reload, let's say range brass or anything, they're going to come in real dirty, grungy. And you're not going to want to put those through your press in your new dies. So you're going to want to tumble them, get them real nice and clean. And then the other style, the one in the background, those 2 drums right there, that's a Harbor Freight. It's actually a rock polisher. And I've used this a lot too. And I bought some stainless steel media, and I fill it up with water and dish soap, and I tumble my brass that way too. And it actually gives really good results. 2 other things you guys are going to need are some trays. This is actually just a bullet tray. You know, when you buy your pistol bullets, they come in. It's nice to have these to put your shells in each process along the way, whether you're decapping, you take them out, put them in one tray. Let's see, putting your powder in. There's some different trays that you could buy from RCBS or any of the major brands. They carry them. But you definitely need a tray. Now, if you're going to do any military brass, i.e. 223, 5.56, 30-06, I think 30-30 carbine, I think 9mm, you're going to have to what they call swedge them. And all that is you can't do this on the press, at least not that I know of. Here's one. Around that primer pocket right there. Can you see that? There's the military put a crimp around the primer. And what that does is it distorts the metal and encases that primer pocket. Well, you can push the primer out with no problem, but to try to put one in before you swedge it, you'll probably end up breaking your press because that material is still inside of there and you have to get it out. So there's a few ways to get that out. One way is, this did not come in my kit, but you could get a hand uniformer tool, primer pocket swedger. This one is it's by Lyman, and I think I only paid under $15 for this. So, and I've done thousands of brass this way. Just sit there and turn it. Another thing people do is they get a countersink tool and they countersink the back side of the primers to cut out the primer pockets or that swedge. That works okay, but I would not recommend it, because if you think about it, you're taking material, you're chamfering that, and you're taking away material where that primer is going to sit in. So there could be a possibility with that primer coming out when you fire it. Now another thing you could buy to do the swedging is a swedger tool. And let's move this over here. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a handheld, or it's a bench mount swedging tool, and that takes the primer crimp out of there. So hopefully that answered a lot of your questions that you had. I think it was Jeff. The basic cost of reloading. Now, I think that one of the questions you asked too was, what would I recommend? Each one of my presses, whether it's the single stage, the turret, or the progressive there, they all have a specific purpose. But for someone that is just starting out, and if you're not really knowledgeable, or you're just learning about reloading, I would highly, highly recommend buying a kit. It came with all those items that I told you. This was in a kit, and it works great. And if you find down the road that you need to buy another press, whether it be a second op press or a prepping press, you can buy one of these. I love this press. We use it all the time. In fact, my son took it over. He had it for a while, and when he moved back home, I had to commandeer it back from him. But the progressive presses, they're great too, but all of them have a downfall. You just can't put your you go get your range brass, put it in the press, and you're off and running. You still have to prep your brass, whether it's on a progressive or a single stage or this turret. You still have to clean the brass before you decap it, and then you decap it. And I never decap on my progressive. I usually decap right here or on that single stage, and then once I decap it, I clean the primer pocket, and then I tumble them again. So there's those steps that whether you got a progressive or a single stage, you still have to do them regardless. What else is there? I think that's about it as far as what you need for reloading. If you guys could think of anything else, put it down in the comments below. And now I'm going to address the other question, is what do I do with my equipment when I'm not using it? Well, one thing is what I do is after I get done using them, it's going to be a while, I usually put a light coat of WD-40 or like a good penetrating oil on them. And then I just store them in this big box back here behind me and lock it up. As far as my presses go, I normally keep I don't have one out here, I think I'm washing them, but I usually have a pillowcase that I put over all my presses, and then I lightly spray these down with WD-40. Now, with my progressive press, those are meant to have the dyes kept in them. So what I do is I still spray it down lightly, but when I put my dyes in, I put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads when I put them down in. That way, just over time, if it gets cold, it gets warm, the expansion, the threads won't bind up. So that's basically all I really do to protect my equipment. Just a little bit of WD, some pillowcases from Family Dollar, and I store everything in this big lockable metal case back behind me. That way, if I get any intruders or kids You know, they can't find my bullets. They're all locked up in this case behind me, along with my dies. So I think that's it. I think I answered those 2 questions. Sorry it was lengthy, but that's basically what you need to start reloading. Thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it, guys. If you guys are coming across my channel and like it, thumbs up, subscribe, and as always, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.